All right, everybody. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Give me 1 sec. Let me just. I'm gonna wait a few seconds just to let the stream load up on everything, because sometimes it does have a little bit of a delay for actually going live. So I just want to make sure everybody who might be waiting out there, it looks like somebody is watching, is able to get in before we start. I'm doing this live. I was gonna do it as a recorded video, just discussing everything, but I don't know if anybody wanted to watch and offer any advice or have any questions in the comments section. So I have opened those up to everybody, and it's a little more interactive this way. If you are watching this recorded, feel free to skip around. I'm kind of going to ramble on a little bit and show some things. I had a conversation with eBay today, at least eBay customer service. I don't know how, it was a supervisor there. They were based in Utah, which is where eBay is headquartered, I believe, or has a pretty big office. So, I don't know what their power is. Obviously, it wasn't too much because they weren't able to help me. And I'm not saying that in a sense that the rep was unhelpful. I'm saying that in a sense that what I'm going to discuss about eBay's policies and procedures regarding this stuff made it so the rep can't really help me. So what happened is, I know I've posted a video on this before. So if you go watch that, it kind of just describes the whole return situation that I'm having with this buyer. I'm going to pull up the return details here just because there's no identifying information on it other than his username, which is a public internet username. So no problem with that. I'm going to pull up on the other screen here just so I don't get any personal information in there. And we're going to take a look at his claims, and I want to show you guys something. So there's nothing in here that people can't see. So let's look at his return details, his claims right here. So we're gonna look at all of them. We'll just start at the top here, but I have a really good. The last one's really good, and I have a lot of explanation for that makes this guy's claims look bogus, which they are. So first thing, right here, this picture saying that he has GPS issues. You can get that exact same image if you turn off your precise location or if you don't enable it in the first place. So that is what was happening there. I tried that on my Samsung and it did the exact same thing. Turn off precise location and all of a sudden your location's not accurate. This is a Discord channel he took a picture of. And just keep in mind here, all these pictures are at different times. But one thing remains in common, and this is going to go to his next claim about having Wi-Fi issues and 4G, 5G issues. If you look at these pictures, you can see every picture he has full Wi-Fi connectivity, full strength. So the phone is not physically connected to Wi-Fi, I guess, but for lack of a better term, it's physically connected to Wi-Fi with a good strong signal. There's nothing physically wrong with the phone's Wi-Fi, and voice over LTE is connected, and he has a full signal. So his signal's good, his Wi-Fi is good, phone's connected, all happy. He's saying his Discord won't load. He only showed me this one channel, so I don't know if this is a blank channel or if somebody put a big giant picture here. It looks like this might be something right here because it's brighter here and darker down here, like he scrolled up on something. Somebody did tell me on Reddit that he likely sent a long PNG file or something like that, and that's a way you can do that. Either that or he doesn't have message history permissions in this channel, and when he signed in on the new phone, it's just not showing the message history. As you can see here, some stuff did indeed load on Discord because he has over 2,000 notifications. So his Discord most definitely loaded. And then right here, he sent some images of Google Chrome. And this brings me to the next claim of, we're going to read this claim real quick before I show you this picture. Lastly, the phone screen is stuck at 30 to 60 hertz for Google apps like Chrome when it should be at 120 hertz. That's weird. On my listing, nowhere on my listing does it mention the screen's refresh rate. It doesn't say 120, it doesn't say 60, it doesn't say 1 to 120. It does not mention the refresh rate on there at all. We'll get to one of his messages that he sent me over in messages here in a minute, but claims that the phone is stuck at 30 to 60 hertz on certain apps. Not that the phone is stuck at 100, not that it's stuck there, but Google apps like Chrome, he says YouTube in one of his other messages to me, that's not in the return details, stuck at 30 to 60 hertz. So it's only those apps. So clearly the screen physically is capable of going to 120 hertz like it's supposed to. So that's not defective. It's just certain apps. Well, if we look at this picture here, we can see he just opened it up. So he hasn't scrolled anywhere on this yet. He probably, opened that up, went to take a picture. Again, we can see he has a data connection here. He is on 5G, and all this stuff loaded up just fine. So his data is working. We can see here, based on whatever app he's using to display this, maybe he's using something in developer settings. I don't know. I don't usually do that on Android phones. But you can see here, he is at 30 frames a second, 30 hertz. Well, he just opened this up, so there's not really many moving images. So, of course, dynamic refresh rate. The phone is going to be at a lower refresh rate. Saves battery. OnePlus actually says this in the settings. We go to the next image. You can see same articles, but he's scrolled down to the bottom. It's at 60 hertz. So the phone dynamically is changing like it's supposed to. Now, remember, it's not going to 120 hertz. Well, like I said, my listing does not make any claims on the refresh rate on the screen. But if we go to the OnePlus 11 website here, and we go over, just say, let's say he did his own research before, because obviously he knows that it has a 120 hertz screen. So, and I didn't mention that at all. I didn't mention any phone specs whatsoever in my listing other than what was pre-populated there by eBay, and that's just storage size and stuff like that. I'll actually pull up my listing here. Let me make sure again that no personal information is going to show before I drag it over to the screen for everybody to see. But I will pull up my actual eBay listing from eBay and show you guys exactly what it says. Alright, so here we go. Just got my eBay username, nothing private. Right here, item specifics, it just lists, this is all pre-populated based on what eBay pulls from the item details. So, nothing in here. Features, AMOLED display, mentions all that, all fine and dandy. Doesn't say, it says screen size, but it does not mention anywhere on here that it is 120 hertz. It doesn't say it's 1 to 120. It doesn't say all apps work at 120. Nothing like that is claimed. Down here, and what I typed, very light use, minimal to no signs of wear. Like I said, I used the phone for my YouTube videos, and then it was sold. And it just tells you what it comes with. So nothing on here that says, I didn't claim anywhere it was 120 hertz. It's not in here in the item specifics or anything. If we go over to the OnePlus website, if you're going to buy a phone and you want to look up the specs, fine and dandy. If you just Google it and go to some random website that says, the phone's got 456 gigs of RAM and 8 million gigabytes of storage, and then you go to eBay and buy one, I'm not responsible for what you found on Google and bought my device when I didn't say that. Like, the research you do on your own has nothing to do with my listing, and I didn't claim that. So I'm not, as far as eBay is concerned, I'm not responsible for that. But OnePlus has a big old page for the OnePlus 11. Phone came out 2 months ago. So if you're going to buy one, maybe you go down to the specs here, and you want to see, okay, refresh rate, 1 to 120 hertz dynamic. It doesn't say it's just 120. Doesn't say it runs at 120 the whole time on every app. It says 1 to 120. That means it can be anywhere in between 1 and 120. It also says dynamic. Dynamic. So when things move on the screen, the refresh rate changes. Look at that. The phone's doing exactly what it's supposed to. So the phone screen's not stuck at 30 to 60 on Google Apps. It's stuck at that because you're not moving it too much. Not all apps support 120 hertz. But remember, the specs, between 1 and 120. Dynamic. Dynamic means it changes on the fly. Does not say 120. My listing does not say 120 hertz refresh rate 24/7. My description doesn't even say a refresh rate. Let's pull up his message he sent me. Give me 1 sec. Let me get over to messages. And I'll show you the whole long list of his defects, which some of them are just doubled on what he said. Can I pull up just this? Okay, I have some other messages on here with eBay messages, but doesn't matter. All right, so right here. Hi, sir. Hope all is well. After using the phone a bit longer, I start to notice the problems with it. Quite some apps have odd behavior, like Discord sometimes not showing new messages or any messages at all. The channels are completely blank. I didn't sell him a Discord app, so I, can't help you there. I sold you a phone. Didn't make any claims to Discord working 24/7 or working at all or anything like that. He has to clear the app data for it to work again. I've also discussed this with people on Reddit. This is a known issue with the Android app. It has nothing to do with my phone specifically. The problem went away after a couple days. So he even admits that this is not a problem anymore. The phone is working, not having any issues. Says he can't watch YouTube videos, happens with mobile data and sometimes Wi-Fi. Well, we know he has mobile data because he's on data in these pictures and he's able to load Chrome and all these articles. So we know his data is working. We also know that his refresh rate, like he says down here, some apps, not all apps, some apps strangely do not run at 120 hertz refresh rate as described. That's weird. I showed you the listing. Where did I describe it running at 120 hertz? Let's see. Here's the specs from OnePlus. Where does it say 120 hertz only? It doesn't. It says 1 to 120. So, as described where? Not from me. Not from OnePlus. Not from the manufacturer. Google Chrome browser and YouTube are two, and some mobile games. Not all mobile games support 120 hertz. Some games only run at 60. YouTube, hey, newsflash, the highest refresh rate on YouTube is 60. YouTube app doesn't run at 120 on any device. And then Google Maps says GPS signal lost. And you were late for work. Well, sorry that you don't know how to get to work. That's kind of, I know where my job is. Sad to say, but even my phone of 3 years did not have this kind of problems. Well, maybe your phone that's 3 years old probably didn't have 120 hertz refresh rate display. Maybe, sorry, you didn't set up your phone right and enable precise location and have your location permissions set up correctly to use Google Maps, causing your accuracy to be low. It doesn't say that the GPS isn't working or that the GPS signal is lost. It says the location accuracy is low. Seems to know right where he is and the direction he's facing, so looks like that's GPS is okay. Weird. So let me know in the comments. I know there's some people on here. Let me know in the comments what you think of this. Because now we're going to get into the issue I have with eBay and their... I'm not going to say their customer support. Their customer support isn't necessarily bad. It's the tools and what the customer support has the ability to do in cases like this that is the issue. So I talked to a regular rep, and she's like, yep, unfortunately the way the system is, I can't do anything until you get the phone back. And I said, but like I have, all this right here, all this right here, and guess what? I've sent all this to the buyer. I've let him know everything. And I let him know that I'm posting this here, so when he makes false claims and returns the phone, I will be disputing this with eBay before he gets a penny out of me. I don't care if eBay takes the money out of my account and wants to go back to him, but I'm going to fight this refund for his false claims, and I want to make sure he knows that. And I've let him know that everything he's told me, I know is absolutely not true. I've sent him the OnePlus spec sheet right here so he can see 1 to 120. Phone's working just fine. He hasn't sent me back the phone yet. He hasn't shipped it yet. I've sent him a label, but he hasn't shipped it yet. So he has the chance to realize that there's nothing wrong with this phone and that his claims are not true. Whether he thought maybe that stuff was supposed to happen, sure. But now he knows it's not, and he has the chance to say, hey, I know the seller sent me a good phone, so I can't claim it's broken and return it now. Because I don't offer returns on my listings, so the only way he can return it is for it not being as described or defective. Well, I've already proved that I didn't describe any of these things he's saying are wrong as true or supposed to happen, and I've also proven here that it's not defective. So, now the issue is, I've told this to eBay as well, and I said, hey, why can't we just close this return before he sends it back and nip this problem in the bud before he sends me back a box of rocks and I got to fight that? They said, well, just the way the system works. So I talked to a supervisor out of Utah, up at eBay office, headquarters, whatever it is. She was very nice. She understood what I was saying. She, I don't think she necessarily disagreed with me that the system kind of sucks. And I told her, I said, people on the forums, I posted this on the forums about this return, and, exactly what the buyer is saying and all this kind of stuff. and have said, everybody on the forums tells me if I don't get this phone back, if I get a different phone back, if I get a box of rocks, I'm screwed. eBay doesn't stand behind the sellers. So that's what it is with that. They don't stand behind the sellers. They don't, they're not going to do anything for you. You better hope you get the phone back. And I said, I don't disagree with you. It happened to me in January with that Pixel 7 Pro that I made the videos about. It took me a month until I finally got the stuff from the Postal Service showing me the fake labels that I was able to send that to eBay and pry my money out of their hands finally. If eBay let me dispute this before I was forced into issuing a return label, I'm not going to say I was forced into issuing a return label. You have the option not to. But the way that works is if you don't issue that return label, if you just go on there and say, I'm going to fight this right now without my item, you can do that. You can dispute that without issuing a label. But when eBay steps in and they say you're wrong, they're going to take the money out of your account and refund the buyer, and the buyer's not required to send that item back. And if that buyer gets their $600 back, they sure as hell ain't sending that phone back to you. So you better try to get your stuff back before you put up a fight, which is the issue. I should be able to dispute this with eBay and say, hey, look here. My listing doesn't say this anywhere, so he's saying that it's not running at 120 hertz as described. Show me where I described that. I didn't. Show me where any of the specs for the phone describe that. It doesn't. It tells you in the phone settings. Send him a picture of that too. It tells you in the phone settings up to a maximum refresh rate of 120, so up to 120. And then it also describes the dynamic refresh down here, that it will lower to save battery and keep your system running smoothly. So all stuff the buyer has access to. I'm sure if the buyer thought there was something wrong with the display, or he wanted to try to get everything running at 120 hertz, he would have gone into this setting. So he's most definitely seen where it explains explains this being up to 120 hertz and being dynamic to where it changes. So not only is he making false claims, you can pretty much say without a reasonable doubt that he's knowingly making these false claims that these apps should be 120 hertz. When any documentation you can get on this device, even on the device itself, where you would change this setting if you were having a problem with it or thought you were having a problem with it, says otherwise. Yeah, Carl, exactly. eBay is going to force me to refund. So the rep was very, very nice. The supervisor I talked to was extremely nice. And she made a lot of notes on this to where I explained to her what happened to me in January with eBay and how I didn't feel that eBay stood behind me when I was in fact right. And I proved that, got my money back, all that was said and done. And what she told me was she made notes of all that. She made notes that when, if I have an issue with this return and I have to call back, that they need to look at my account history and see that I've been an eBay user for 11 years, that I've had over, I think it's 270 sales, and I have 100% positive feedback. Until January when I got scammed, I had never had a defect return. I never had a return at all. Nobody said I sent them bad stuff ever. And 271 items, 100% positive feedback, 5 stars on items as described, 5 stars on everything on my feedback. Everything's perfect. I don't send out junk. I send out items that I review on this channel. You guys can see I use these phones for a week, a month, and sometimes I don't even use, like if I have a phone for 2 or 3 months, sometimes I use it on and off and I don't even, there's no wear and tear on the thing. The only reason I have to list it used is because I open the damn thing. Yeah, Carl, that's what's crappy about it. The buyer can appeal this, and it's always the buyer's word against the seller. The seller can have all the proof in the world, and eBay will not look at it. I told eBay when I got scammed in January, if you guys missed that video, Carl, if you're new here, in January, I sold a Pixel 7 Pro. It went down to Florida to an address that was a reshipper. I had never had problems with reshippers before, so I went ahead and I did it. Guy had the account for 3 to 4 months, had like 9 feedbacks, 100% positive, so I didn't feel like the guy just made the account to scam somebody, which is usually what happens, but in this case I was wrong. So I ship it down there, and about a week and a half later, I get a message saying the buyer, he said, I have problems with the smartphone, can you help me? I said, sure, what's up? What's going on? we can try to figure this out. He never responded. 5 minutes later, he opened up an item not as described request. He uploaded one picture of the phone. It was of the phone laying upside down, so it was the back of the phone, and said, I have problems with the smartphone. The picture didn't show any broken, the phone wasn't broken. He didn't describe what was wrong, nothing. So I called eBay to ask what to do because this was the first time this has happened to me. And I said, hey, I sent a perfectly good phone. Something's really sketchy about this. It went down to a reshipper. The guy's not responding. The guy's not telling me what's wrong with it. You know, if he's not going to tell me what's wrong with it, do I have to return the, do I have to issue the label? And they said, and I said it was a reshipper. That also avoids buyer protection. And she said, well, you're still responsible for giving them a label to where you shipped it to. They have to ship it back from there. That's all you're responsible for shipping wise. Okay, whatever. I'll get the phone back and I'll resell it. No big deal. So I issued the label down to, I sent it to him on eBay. I bought the label on eBay directly. Sent it to him. And a couple days later, it gets shipped. And I look at the tracking and it's coming from New York. Well, I shipped this phone to Florida last week and now all of a sudden you're trying to return it from New York? Huh, that's weird. If that doesn't say reshipper, I don't know what does. Or scam, I don't know what does. It wasn't a reshipper in this case, it was a scam. It was reshipped like the Dominican Republic. So the mail's out for delivery, my package is out for delivery. I'm really excited to see, what kind of box of rocks I'm getting. Because at that point I was real sketched out. I knew something was up. So the mail comes, I go out to the mailbox, there's nothing in there, no package. I also see the tracking, it doesn't say delivered. So the mailman's coming back on the other side of the street. Mailwoman in this case coming back on the other side of my street. I go over to her. I said, hey, it says I have a package out for delivery. Do you maybe have it in the truck somewhere? She looks. She goes, no, it says I have one for you. Or I should have one for you. On my little planner, the handheld scanner has a little delivery planner on it that they can see all their stops for the day for packages. But I don't have it on the truck. She calls the post office and says, if they find it, they'll meet me with it and I'll bring it back to you. I said, thanks, no problem. Go back inside. 30 minutes later, I check the tracking again. It's marked as delivered. She never came back, though. So I called the post office directly myself, speak to a guy. He looks up the tracking, sees what carrier marked it delivered, calls the carrier. Carrier said, yeah, it was delivered to so-and-so elementary school, which is right behind my neighborhood. Like I can see it from my house through the houses behind my neighborhood. I said, huh, that's weird. He said the tracking is electronically attached to your address, but the label was different. So I called eBay up and I explain what happened. I tell them I didn't get it back. And they said, okay, we'll open a case. So I send them, all the information I had at the time was my Ring doorbell video of the mail being delivered, showing I didn't get any packages. And I of course filed a case with the Postal Inspection Service. I had not receipt, but whatever, a confirmation from that. I uploaded that to eBay, and I uploaded the missing package search request to eBay. They said, okay, we'll open an appeal. 2-3 hours later, denied. It said the buyer was able to provide information showing that the return was delivered. We'll be debiting the amount from your account. A couple days later, $657 leaves my account. I don't have anything back. Call eBay again. I said, hey, I never got this back. Post office told me what happened. It looks like they altered the address. Blah blah blah. eBay wouldn't believe me. I said, I have Ring video of them delivering my mail that day. It was time stamped. That had a totally different time than when this package said it was delivered. eBay said, we don't look at video. We don't have time for that. I said, so you'll take $657 out of my account, but you don't have time to watch a 30-second video. Nope. So a week goes by. I break my foot. So I have plenty of time now because I can't drive. I can't work for a couple months. Still the case. I got hopefully a few more weeks left before I can go back to work. So I got time for this guy too. So I call the post office again. I was almost going to give up on this until I had plenty of time on my hands. So I called the post office again. This is first week of February at this point. And I talked to the manager there. And when I started explaining the whole, got marked as delivered, and, they said it was delivered to an elementary school, she asked me, I didn't tell her my address, my name, nothing yet. She said, are you so-and-so on, and reads off my address. And I said, yes. Why? And she said, I have 2 envelopes here waiting for the postal inspector. And I said, oh, why? And she said, well, they have fake labels on it. They don't have paid postage on them. She said they have a tracking number that matches yours, but they're not paid for. They don't have any payment on them, and they are addressed to so-and-so elementary school. And I said, oh, okay, what's in them? She said, a pack of index cards. So what the buyer did was he sent 3 of these. 1 actually successfully got delivered, and 2 were intercepted for the non-payment. he used the same label on all three. He just copied them. So what happened was the label that I took, that I provided via eBay, he took the tracking barcode off that, pasted it on a fake label with the address to the nearby school. He probably just Googled where I live, saw there was a school there. Hey, the school's not going to wonder why we got index cards. They're not going to know who ordered them. Could be any teacher in the school, so we just got some index cards, or somebody just sent us some index cards. They're not going to refuse it or return to sender or whatever. They're just going to hope, sweet, index cards. He gets the delivery scan. I get screwed because it says it's delivered. Not to me. It wasn't a phone. Everything like that. So what it took to get my money back from eBay was the post office manager sent me a picture of those labels and typed out what happened in an email. I sent that to eBay, and you can only get 2 appeals. But somehow they gave me not even another appeal, but they said, okay, you were right, we'll refund you. So I explained all this to the lady today. I was like, this is why I'm so concerned about getting this phone back, because that happened to me last time. eBay didn't stand behind me, even though I had all the proof. Like, if you would have looked at the proof I already had, this wouldn't have taken a month. But it took me doing all this other stuff to get my money back that you wrongfully took from me. I understand that there's sellers that scam as well, so you have to look at both sides, but they don't look at both sides. The buyer says, oh, I got a defective item. You have to take it back, and whatever they send back, like, the buyer can say, I got a defective item, send you a box of rocks, and it's on the seller. It's way hard to prove, and it's on the seller every time. Nothing you can do. So that's why I was like, if you look at this right now, eBay, if you look at the messages that I sent him in his claims, you can see that I have addressed each one of his claims in a message that shows proof, not just me saying it proof, but proof from other websites, from the manufacturer, everything that shows that his claims are false and that this item is not defective. If you close this right now, yeah, exactly. I mean, that was the whole reshipping thing too. I had proof it was reshipped. I had the address that shows that business being a reshipper. The address that the buyer sent it to even had his, like, they have the little, not box numbers, I guess, but their user number or whatever, how the reshipper identifies who it is, their account number, on there. So eBay could see all that, okay. And then not only, like, sure, me saying that it was a reship, people claim that eBay won't do anything about that alone because they say that somebody that works there could have ordered it and not actually reshipped it. Yeah, sure, okay. I guess it can happen, but really we're gonna use that excuse. And then not only did they ship it to a reshipper, but when they returned it from an entirely different state. So that's like, I mean, you put those things together, something's not right here. And then not only that, back to the part, I've been an eBay seller for 11 years. Every time I called eBay to say something about that, they thanked me for being an eBay user for 11 years. And then they're going off of what this other guy, who's been an eBay user for 3 months, does all this sketchy stuff. Well, it says it was delivered, but here's eBay user for 11 years, 271 items sold, 100% positive feedback saying something's not right here. And they won't look at anything. What's wrong with that picture? eBay could avoid so much if they looked at this. They seen these messages, because the rep, I told the rep, look at the messages. She read them. She goes, you're doing the right thing by sharing all this information with the buyer. You're being professional about it. You let them know that, hey, your claims are not correct. Here's, information on the device. And like I said, the buyer's saying that it's not working as described, but the claims he's making I never described. That's nowhere in the listing to be found. It's nowhere on the manufacturer's website to be found. All eBay would have to do right now to nip this in the bud was, he hasn't shipped it yet. They could say, hey, the buyer's provided, or the seller's provided information showing that the things you have claimed are normal operation of the item you bought. Sorry, your return is going to be closed. Easy. Why do I have to get the phone back to then have the phone and the money to have to prove what I've already proven again to see if I get, I don't expect to get to keep the money if he sends the phone back, because I can resell the phone, I can recoup the money. Not a big deal. I don't expect to get both. That's not my point. My point is, if I have the phone and the money, if he sends back phone that he's used, because he said I'm pretty sure he took off the screen protector. It doesn't look like it's on in the pictures that he sent, and he mentioned not liking the plastic screen protector and said like the plastic screen protector was one of the ones that you put on you take off the middle, and it adheres on the middle, and you squeegee that down so you can line it up, and then you pull the top up and squeegee the top down, pull the bottom up and squeegee the bottom down. It basically goes on like it's one piece, but it goes on top first then bottom. So it has a little crease in the middle of the screen protector that you can see for a little while from where that is. And he asked about that line, and I said, hey, yeah, it's just the plastic screen protector. And he said, oh, if I take it off, it'll go away. I said, yes, it's just the screen protector. There's nothing wrong with the screen. The phone's had a screen protector on it since day one. It came with a screen protector pre-installed. It's got a screen protector on it day one. I just replaced it because one of the cases had knocked, or one of the cases I put on had started peeling the factory one off. So, if you took the screen protector off and then used my phone for 2 weeks, now we got wear and tear on it. No screen protector. He's used it. So now when I go to resell it, I can't sell it for the same price as having a screen protector from day one. A lot of people look for that. Nobody wants little micro scratches on a phone they're paying $500-$600 for, when the phone was almost, like new. So we got that. And that's when I asked eBay. I was like, I don't expect to be able to say, hey, this guy lied and keep his $600 and get my phone back and resell it. But I do expect to be able to not refund him in full when he lied. Like, obviously, he's in the wrong here. He's making these false claims to be able to return the phone. And I think based on his message up here where he said, I advertised it as having a clear case that I was including. It was a case that came with the 2 screen protectors. And like a day after I shipped the phone, I looked over at my desk and I saw the case sitting there. I was like, oh crap, I forgot to put it in the box. So I messaged him. You can see that up here. Let's see. Yeah, I messaged him right here on the 28th. And I said, hey, the clear case pictured on the left of the box, I forgot to put in. The 3 others are in there. Would you like me to send you the clear one as well? He said, yes, that would be much appreciated. Well, mailing this little clear case is going to cost me $3. It was $5 on Amazon with the 2 new screen protectors. So I sent him the case with the new screen protectors as a bundle straight from Amazon to his house. And it got there on the same day the phone did. So I fixed my mistake right away. He wasn't out anything. He actually got more. And so he mentions, I appreciate you buying the new case for me and try to make this a good experience, but phone feels faulty. And I wanted to return for full refund. And that's when I explained to him, no, I don't accept refunds, or I don't accept returns. And the things, the things you're describing about the buffering on YouTube, that's not my device. I actually used YouTube on this device a lot. Because in my testing, I actually mentioned the fact that you can use YouTube on this thing for like 30 minutes to an hour before the battery even drops past 100%. YouTube works flawlessly. And that I can't be held responsible for his Discord channels. I don't know, what Discord service he's on, all that kind of stuff. There's too many variables in there that's just not a defect in my phone. I use Discord on there too. I had no issues with it. And then, so I said, no, I'm sorry, I can't accept the return for that. And I even explained to him not all apps support 120 hertz. Depends on the individual app. And I went on, sent him some information on that about the refresh rate. I sent him a link, showing where the YouTube app doesn't support 120 hertz. And then I sent him a picture of the screen settings where it says it's dynamic. And then today I sent him another picture showing even on the OnePlus spec sheet where it listed it from 1 to 120. It lists a range. So, I don't know what else I can do. A lot of people are saying, oh, you just got to accept the return. It doesn't matter if he lies because all that matters is he said it's defective, so he can return it. That's great. I mean, I understand that if he got a defective device, he has every right to return it based on the eBay money back guarantee. But my point is he didn't get a defective device, and I've proven that. So I feel like eBay needs to be able to do something now. It's not that I just want this done now. It's that I don't want to have to get, I'm going to say something back, because scammers don't send the phones back. They make this stuff up and they send you whatever, or they don't send anything. They send it somewhere else. Whatever that case may be. To prevent that from happening, if eBay looked at this right now and saw his claims right here, his claims in this case, the messages matter too, and they can see those, but his claims in the official return are, screen is stuck at 30 and 60 hertz for Google apps like Chrome when it should be at 120. Nowhere does it say it should be at 120. It lists right here on the official spec sheet from OnePlus, 1 to 120. Dynamic means it changes. in my listing, as I've showed earlier in this stream, in my listing, I didn't list anything about the refresh rate. I didn't put any specs in there regarding that whatsoever. The only thing I typed on that thing was what it came with about the cases. And then it had some, default information about the screen size, the storage space, the color, that kind of stuff that was pre-filled in from eBay. That also did not mention any refresh rates. It mentioned it was an AMOLED display, and it mentioned it was 6.7 inches. So all eBay has to do is look at what I've told the buyer, the facts that I've sent him, and his claims, and they can see that his claims are false. And I feel like that these reps, maybe not the direct reps, maybe a supervisor like I talked to, need to be able to have the ability to look at that and say, okay, I can see here that the buyer made these claims, and the seller sent them supporting evidence saying that, hey, that's not an issue with the device. There's a lot of stuff sold on eBay besides phones, but in this case, the buyer sent, specs for the phone where everything you're claiming is not working correctly is actually exactly what it's supposed to be doing per the manufacturer. And the buyer and the seller didn't make any claims otherwise. So we're going to go ahead and close your return. Please don't return it. I don't see what's hard about that. I just don't see what that, I don't see what issues that causes, is what I'm saying. What I see is that if they say, okay, well, we see the buyer's probably wrong, you sent information that says otherwise and didn't claim any of these things on your listing, but you have to wait to get the phone back. Then we open a whole nother box of, a whole nother animal here of, well, it says you got the phone back. Oh, you didn't get the phone back? Well, damn, that sucks. I guess you got to prove that now. When I already proved the buyer was lying, now I got to prove the buyer actually didn't send the phone back too? Come on. Like, that's what I don't get. And Carl, I hope you're still in here. I know you're a few minutes behind, but maybe you can comment on some of that, what you think in your situation, like, with dealing with returns and stuff like that. The buyer claimed it didn't work, looked like it fell off a shelf. Exactly. And that's the thing about, he's had the phone for 2 weeks. He told me up here, this is, let's see. I always message people. I always follow up on my sales. Oh, and this is another thing too. So I had this listed as an offer. Make an offer. Somebody made an offer and said they could pay right now. And I had to go somewhere the next day, so I was like, I can ship it the next day if you pay today. I was really trying to get the payment done and over with so I could go ship it because, like I said, my foot's broken and I can't drive. So me being able to drop it off somewhere was a lot easier than paying the crap ton of money that it costs for a UPS pickup for residential. And so I was like, okay, great. Accepted the offer. Made a pretty decent offer. It was like $50 over bid. With what the starting bid was, which is great because normally people, offer you less than the starting bid, which is stupid because then all I have to get is one bid and I'm already over what you offered me. So I accepted his offer and he didn't pay. 8 hours go by. It's that night. So I'm like, okay, you know what? This dude said he could pay right away and then ghosted me. I'm gonna cancel, whatever. And so that account was from 2009, had 100 and some feedback score. So I cancel. I didn't cancel that yet. I relisted it, knowing that I would just if he didn't pay before it resold again, I would cancel it. If it resold again on the second listing, I'd just cancel his if he hadn't paid yet. So I relist, and next person. When you get an offer on the email, you can see the person's location, like city, state, zip code, and it lists the whole zip code, like the zip code, dash, and then the 4, which the 4 narrows it down to a street. The last 4 narrows it down to a street. So somebody in the same city with the same zip code and the same last 4 digits on the, there's the 5-digit zip code dash the 4-digit number, exact same. I was like, that's really strange because that means they're on the same street. But they made an offer for like $35 less, $35 or $45 less than the first person. So I was like, okay, whatever. I took it, and he asked these questions right here. He just wanted to make sure that it was the global version and not the Chinese version, which it is the global version. It was bought from OnePlus in the United States. So I said, yep. And he goes, okay, sent you the payment, and he paid. But I look after I accept the offer, and I noticed that the name on the person that bought it the first time and the name of the person that bought it now is the exact same, in the exact same city, in the exact same state, with the exact same zip code. And I was like, that is really weird. So I was like, okay, nobody, I know some people have like a business eBay account and then they have like a personal one so they can separate the payments and stuff. But I've never seen somebody buy something on one account and then just kind of go away, and then they use another account to buy the same item again. And he had to have known, like, even if he was looking for multiple phones, or, you know, maybe he's in the business of selling phones or something like that and he wanted to resell this, or whatever the case may be, the listing picture was the exact same. So, you know, if I was doing that and trying to buy multiple items, like, wait, didn't I just buy this item? So I was really confused and kind of sketched out. And then when he did this, I said, hey, didn't you buy this on another account and, you know, say you would pay? Because you have the exact same name and, you know, everything's the same. And he's like, I don't know what you mean. So he played dumb there. But so, yeah, that's really weird. I don't know what he's trying with that. Not too sure. But anyway, back to what I was originally saying before I got on that little tangent there. So that's the part where I told him about the case, and then told him I sent the brand new case, and then on March 31st, phone arrives, and I said, hey, hope you had a chance to check everything out and enjoy it. I left feedback for you and would appreciate if you would do the same for me. He still never left feedback, by the way. So, yep, he said, been busy with work past couple days, so could not test out phone properly. Thank you for sending case 2. It came today. And then I think up here he told me, yeah, I'll try to check it out today or tomorrow. And then a couple days went by, so he got it on the 30th actually, and then on the 31st he tells me, or on the April 1st he tells me, that everything is fine for the most part. So he acknowledges that the phone's working. I send him a working phone. That is acknowledged here in this message. And then he asked me about the unusual horizontal scratch line near the center of the phone screen, and it makes the rainbow effect on white background. And that's when I explained to him that it's just the screen protector. And he said, I understand. Thank you very much for explaining. So if I remove the screen protector, then it'll go away. So that's why I think he removed my screen protector. And then, so he's used my phone for 2 weeks. So, you know, who knows what's happened to it in that time. And that brings me back to Carl's point. Like, what if he messed something up in those 2 weeks and then sends it back? Like, why does, for a buyer or a seller that doesn't accept returns, why do buyers have 30 days to return for a defect? Like, if you get an item, check it out when you get it. If I sent you a working item, I didn't offer a warranty on this item. So what happens a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you know, from day, like, maybe let's see, day like 7 to day 31? Why am I responsible for what happens if I don't offer a warranty on the item? Because then you can use it, then you can break it, and then you can come back to eBay, say you use the phone for, you know, here you are using the phone for 15, 16 days, and oh crap, I dropped it. Now the back's cracked. I'm going to pop back onto eBay and go, oh, hey, look, this seller sent me a broken phone. And eBay's going to be like, oh, look, the back's broken. You got to accept the return. I didn't send that phone like that. That buyer dropped that a week into use and said, oh, crap, I'm still in that 30-day window on eBay. Seller doesn't offer returns, but I'll just say he sent it to me broken. I'll lie about it. There's nothing that the buyer doesn't lose anything that way. There's no way the seller really can prove that happened if it's, if eBay's just going to trust the buyer. And then the seller's out. Now they got this broken phone that's coming back to them that they have to fix or can't do anything with. And the seller gets their money, and the buyer gets their money back after they rented this phone for a week and a half, 2 weeks, and then broke it. So, what's to say, they don't do stuff like that. That's why I think eBay needs to give you, like, if I have 2 days to inspect this device when it comes back, then you should have 2 days to inspect the device when I send it to you. Why do you get a full month to play around with my phone and then, send it back to me? But when you send it back to me, I got 2 days and I got to give you your money back. Yeah, and so one of the things the rep told me about the high scams in electronics and phones and stuff like that, she actually told me that one little tip would be don't accept offers, because scammers like the make an offer listings, because one, they can kind of get you down on price, and 2, they don't have to wait for an auction to end, so they can get it cheap and they can get it quick. Buy it now. People, when they sell buy it now, they're selling buy it now as the average selling price. So when they go to scam, if they want to scam you out of your money and send you something back, get their money back and resell it, they're not getting that extra money, because they got to resell it for, while they get their original purchase back. When they resell it, they can only resell it for, average selling price. So they make less doing buy it now. But if they make an offer, they can kind of haggle you down on the price. They can get it quicker. They don't have to wait for the auction to end. They don't have to worry about bidding in auctions. So cheap and quick. Scammers like it. So she said, use auctions, use buy it now. There's less people like that doing auctions and stuff like that. And that, yeah, item not described cases. Literally, if you're a buyer, make an item not described case, boom, you win. It's done. There's no help for the seller. They don't stand behind the seller. They say they do, but they don't. And she told me multiple times, she's like, that's not how it's supposed to be. We do protect sellers. We try to protect sellers whenever we can. So that was the thing. Like, I didn't have anything to report and block him on for not paying. Because per eBay policy, once you make an offer, once I accept the offer, you have 4 days to pay. It had only been 8 hours. The only reason I canceled was because he said he could pay now and didn't, and I was just trying to be able to get somebody to. I had to ship something else the next day, so I wanted to be able to ship them both at the same time. So it was more of a whoever paid first got it type of deal. So I canceled that because this other account paid first. Turns out this other account was still him though. So yeah, that was why he didn't get reported for that. But for sure, I've had people make an offer. I had a lady make an offer on a phone case. I was selling a $40 phone case that I didn't have the phone for anymore for $10. It was $15. And priority mail shipping, priority mail envelope, so it was like $7 for shipping. She offered me $7, and I bumped it up to $10. And then when I made the $10 offer, she came back with paying the $10 with free shipping. So she kept the same offer but added free shipping in the message. Well, I couldn't see on the thing. I didn't see the message at the time, and I accepted the offer. And then once I accepted it, I saw the message that said free shipping. And I was like, no, you're not getting $7 worth of shipping on a $10 case that I was selling for $15. I literally get like 90 cents after I pay for shipping. So I tell her, I'm like, you can't just you can't make demands in a message for free shipping. It literally, when you make an offer, it tells you item price plus shipping total. That's what you're agreeing to. You can't demand something in the message that deviates from that. And I told her that, and she said, okay, then cancel the order. And I said, no, I'll cancel the order in 4 days, and I'll report you for non-payment. And she paid. She got the case, and she left positive feedback. I don't play with those people. Like, if you're going to send me a lowball ass offer, pay for shipping. Like, why am I going to sell you a case for, $7 sure, and then maybe I make $2 or $3, and then I negotiated up to $10, which is still $5 off my, my $15 case that retails still brand new right now for $45. You get for $10, and you don't want to. It would have been $17 total with shipping for a $45 case. You want to knock me down to $10 and get free shipping? I would have made like 50 or 90 cents. I think it was like 50 cents after eBay took their cut. And then one act dumb when I tell you have to pay shipping like you already agreed to. So, I mean, nothing happened with that one. They didn't, claim any crap. It was a brand new case, still in the packaging, and they left positive feedback. So all was well with that. But I told her maybe next time she should, not lowball offer and then demand free shipping. But yeah, that was why he didn't get reported for non-payment, was because he wasn't in violation of anything. Technically, I guess I didn't violate any policies by doing that. But I could have, that does lower your score on eBay by canceling orders like that. When somebody has already made an offer, even though they didn't pay. So I guess it wasn't, I didn't have to refund them or anything. But whatever. And so, yeah, that's the only point though, is that those item not described cases, there's nothing sellers can do. Like, sellers are high and dry when it comes to item not described. If a buyer says they didn't get something, I have evidence with tracking and stuff like that usually, can win you pretty easy. Especially when it's stuff, this was only $615, so it didn't meet the threshold for signature required. But anything over $750, eBay requires you to require a signature for buyer or for seller protection, which I always do. I always ensure if it's something, if the item value is to the point where I would say, like, I sold a $15 phone case and it got lost or damaged in shipping, I would just give the person their $15 back, and I wouldn't argue. I wouldn't be like, send it back, or I wouldn't, none of that. I would take the $15 loss and move on. But anything over, probably about $100, where I wouldn't want to be out the money and the item, I always insure it. So if whatever happens, I always have that insurance. But, so all these are insured, all that kind of stuff. Signature required if it's over the eBay minimum to require that for buyer or for seller protection. No issues with that there. This buyer had it sent to a UPS access point, and he picked it up from there. The name on the pickup is the same as the name on the account, so we all know he got the item. I mean, we're not disputing that. We know he has the item, based on he's been using it. But just saying for other items and stuff like that as well. But yeah, those item not described cases, sellers can't win them. There's absolutely no support for them. And that's what I told the lady. I gave her some feedback based on my experiences with eBay, and stuff like that. That if eBay changed the system to where we could hold these disputes and these arguments before they required me to get the item back, and I could send my side of the case, beforehand, and they can look at the seller's claims, and especially when it's something like this where it's not, the seller's not claiming the phone won't turn on. I can't prove that the phone will turn on once it gets to the seller. But if the seller's claiming the phone doesn't do something, and then I have the specs right here saying the phone's not supposed to do what they're claiming it doesn't do, then that just shows my device is perfectly fine and doing exactly what it's supposed to. That should be pretty cut and dry on why are we forcing the seller into a return only to get have to deal with not getting it back or getting it back damaged or whatever. But like I said, you can do that. You can go on there and you can not send them a return label. You can wait those, I think it's 2 or 3 days, and let eBay step in, and then you can send all your stuff to them. But if eBay doesn't agree with you, they're going to take the money from you. They're going to take it right out of your account. They'll take it out of your eBay funds if there's funds. They'll take it out of your bank account on eBay. They'll take it off your debit card on eBay, and you got to have one of the two if you sell. So they have your payment information. You can't remove them all. They will use one of them. If they can't get through with that, they'll send you to collections. So they're getting their money one way or the other. So like I said, could negate all that if all they did was say, hey, the seller's making these claims, the buyer or the buyer's making these claims, the seller sent the buyer this information, which is from the manufacturer. The buyer's claiming that the phone, not everything goes up to 120 hertz, and it's between this range and this range. Oh, well, here's the seller just sent them, the OnePlus website saying that it goes between 1 and 120. Hey buyer, yep. The seller sent information right here that the phone is, that's how the phone's designed. There's, we can't accept a return for this. And I fully believe that this buyer used the phone for the 2 weeks, didn't like it for whatever reason, not through any fault of the phone, but just didn't like it, maybe, whatever. And now he's like, oh, hey, I can just tell eBay that this has a 120 hertz screen. They're not going to know any better, but it's not working at 120 hertz, and I'm going to just show that, and then I can just say it's defective and send it back because the seller won't take it back, and then the seller will have to take it back. That's exactly what I think the buyer's doing. And there's so many buyers that abuse the item not as described or the defective, money back guarantee, that it's almost, there's no protection. There is seller protection, but the seller protection is so lackluster, and eBay support is so limited on what they can do that by the time you can enact that seller protection, it goes to some other guy in a back office who you can't talk to and you can't explain what happened. And if you get, if I tell all this to somebody at eBay that has no clue what 120 hertz means, they're not, they don't know what they're looking at. So they don't have anybody that is specialized in different categories on eBay, as far as I know, that can look at this and be like, oh, well, it's 1 to 120, so the 30 to 60 on certain apps is normal. The average Joe may not know what that even means, and they're just going to side with the buyer saying, okay, yeah, he said it was defective, force the return. The supervisor I spoke to said she was pretty tech savvy. She seemed to understand, what I was saying and how it went against what the buyer was saying. And she did note that on there. So hopefully, if somebody else has to look at that there's a couple notes on this account, on the account already, that, hey, this kind of what the buyer's saying doesn't really make too much sense. But I think there needs to be, with how people are scamming these days, with how much, electronics are now getting sold on eBay, everything's more sophisticated. I think what eBay needs to do is maybe kind of take customer support, make some teams that know, okay, yep, Joe over here, he sells auto parts. So when he calls in, we're gonna have a team that knows, a little bit about auto parts. And then, Bob over here, he sells like cell phones and phone accessories, some electronics. So we're gonna have a support team that knows a little bit about electronics and computers. And, if somebody, says 120 hertz, they're gonna understand what that means. Not just, a customer support team that when a seller calls in and says, hey, the buyer's saying my muffler that I bought for my car, or that I sold him from the first car, whatever's wrong with that, hell, I don't know what that means. Stuff like that. Maybe Susie over here, she sells clothes and jewelry, so we'll have a team that specializes in, they know about clothes and jewelry. So when they have an issue, that person, that team knows a little bit about what they're talking about when they call. And we don't always have to go through this. Well, the buyer's saying this and the seller's saying this, so we're just going to make the buyer send it back. We're going to make the seller take it back, and then we'll fight it out later when the seller has a problem. Why are we waiting to the point where the seller has a problem? The seller does this, some people do this as a business. I don't do this as a business, but I sell on eBay enough to know that I can smell when I have a problem coming, and I have a problem coming. I have a problem that already started, and eBay's letting this problem get bigger by making me wait to get this, hopefully, phone back. That's my whole predicament with the eBay customer service. Everybody on the forum says customer service will lie to you to get you off the phone. I haven't felt like customer service has lied to me to get me off the phone. They tell me pretty well what I read on the policy, but the problem is what they tell me is going to happen when things go wrong is not what happens when things go wrong. When things go wrong, then, oh, well, you have to do this, this, and this, and, you got to prove that you didn't get it back, but it says delivered, so you can't really prove that. Well, I told you before I even issued this return that it looks like I'm getting scammed because I sent it to a reshipper in Florida. The guy didn't give any specifics on what the problem was, and he's not responding. But he wants to send it back, but he won't respond to me. He asked for help, but he won't respond to me. Like, that's, like, what? Like that, I just feel there's so many better ways to manage this that would not only keep buyers protected against sellers that do send bad items, but, sellers that buyers send different items back, or, anything of the sort like that. They make false claims to get returns, or, say the guy needed a phone for 2 weeks, now he's just going to say it's broke because he doesn't need it anymore. Maybe broke his phone screen, and it was in for repairs, so he just, bought one on eBay. Oh, that's a cool phone. I'll buy that for 2 weeks, and then I'll lie about it, send it back. If he wanted to try a OnePlus does have a thing right now where you can buy one, and if you don't like it, as long as you don't damage it, you can return it in 100 days. So you got a pretty good amount of time to try it out. He could have easily done that instead of using me, like on Walmart, in a revolving door for products. Like, you just bring them back when you don't want them anymore. So that's, that's all that. That's the issue I have with that. And, from Carl, you're the same if you're still here. You're saying exactly what the people on the forum said, and the people in the forums, I've seen people on there that had a feedback score of 11,000. They've been on eBay for a long time, and they sell a lot. And nobody has told me anything other than customer service doesn't have your back. You're either going to get the phone back, and something's going to be wrong with it, and you're screwed. You're not going to get the phone back, and you're screwed. Or if you do get the phone back, even though the buyer lied, oh, well, they said it was defective, so that you have to take it back, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, that's pretty much that, and that's how I feel about that. Like I said, the whole thing about me describing, I feel there's other ways eBay can handle this very easily, and it's just annoying that the reps are like, yeah, we can't, that's how the system works, that's what the system lets us do. It shows they haven't returned it yet, so we don't have any options. If any of you guys watching have any experiences with eBay customer service, let me know in the comments if you've had anything happen with a return or fraud or getting scammed or anything like that. just let me know what happened there. Looks like we have an ad coming up here in about 2 seconds, so I'll wait for that to finish. I don't know how long it is, but yeah. So we'll see if I actually get it back. Right now the tracking, there's no tracking on it, I don't think. Yep. Still shipment ready for UPS, so he hasn't shipped it or anything. So we'll see if he actually does. I'm kind of hoping that me explaining that I'm fully prepared to dispute this and sending all this stuff that shows that his claims are false in the messages here are kind of shine him away from making any false claims and actually going through with the return. Because he has, after I sent all that, he hasn't responded to anything. So I asked him for video of the issues, and I sent him this stuff from the OnePlus website. I've also had people say that, hey, yeah, I've had people claim something didn't work, and I asked for a video of them trying to use it, and haven't heard from him in 8 years. So I'm kind of hoping that's what this guy does here, and I don't hear anything back from him. And I have he has till May 3rd to ship it, so that's kind of annoying. You know, when I sell something, damn if I don't get it out the door that second, eBay's up my ass. But you know, when it's on the seller's end, or when it's on the buyer's end, they have all the time in the world. They got 30 days to try it out and make sure, you know, the buyer sent them a working item that they didn't warranty. But you know, as long as technically I'm responsible for sending them a working item. If it works on day one, you know, like what they do after that and damage it after that or have something happen after that, again, no warranty. It's part of buying used items. They're as is. But eBay gives them that 30 days for them to drop it and break it, and then they can just come back and, hey, this seller sent me a cracked phone. Oh, yeah, I just didn't have time to try it out, you know, for 29 days. But, you know, I opened it up on the 29th day and it's broken. But then when they go to return it, the seller has 2 days to inspect it and make sure what they got back is what they sent. And if it isn't, well, you're still screwed. So I don't know what the point of the 2 days is. But, you know, because the money's coming out of your account and you have to fight it later anyway. So eBay gives you the whole, you know, image that you're protected and we got your back and all this stuff for sellers. But then when the time comes, yep, you better just hold on. If you sell on eBay, you better hold on to that money for a good while to make sure they're not going to do anything fishy. Because you don't want to sell something on eBay and then use that money, you know, oh, it's been 2 weeks. Yeah, the buyer's happy with it. Nothing's gone wrong. Week 3, I'm going to go spend that money on that nice new, you know, whatever that I wanted. Oh, here comes day 29. Hey, that seller wants their $800 back. Or that buyer wants their $800 back. And there's nothing you can do about it. Like I said, eBay will get that money out of your account or you're going to collections. I've even seen people win chargebacks against eBay, and they lost their account and went to collections. I tried to do a chargeback with eBay with that Pixel because they wouldn't do they wouldn't help me. I didn't care if I lost my account at that point because it wasn't, you know, I got screwed over anyway. Turns out eBay doesn't even really do chargebacks. My bank's like, yeah, we can't even dispute with eBay. You have to go through them. So they have some agreement or whatever that I guess is deep down when you sign up for eBay that you agree to. So if somehow you do get a chargeback, I know buyers can do chargebacks because there's a policy for that on how sellers are protected. You know, probably not, but it's there. So yeah, sellers once again, no protection. And I got a survey after that call. I give the reps 5 stars because, like I said, the reps are nice. They were professional. You know, they understood what I was saying. They answered my questions. They documented it on my account. But eBay just doesn't give them the tools. That's what it comes down to. eBay doesn't give them the power or the tools. The issue is communication. The issue is the fact that when I call eBay customer support when a sale goes wrong, that rep can't do anything. That rep has to type it up and then send it to Joe Schmo in the back office. Joe Schmo has to read this transcript that's now been translated from me to this rep to him and has to interpret, you know, what I was saying from how somebody else quickly typed it in a, you know, short summary, and has to look at that and make a determination based on that. And that's what happened with the Pixel. And Carl, that's what a lot of people are saying is the reps will tell you something different and tell you just tell you what you want to hear to get you off the phone. I've called 3 times for this alone. Or no, I called twice and I did 1 chat. I have the chat transcript in my email saved, just in case I needed it. And everybody's told me the same thing in terms of what I should do and protection and what will happen if and what will happen if if I get something different back, or if the buyer has lied. Everybody has said the same thing about the seller protection. But it goes back to what I was talking about. When I get a different device back, or when I get nothing back, or when I get a device back and find that the buyer made false claims, what rep A said, what rep B said, and what rep C said is great, but rep A, B, and C can't do anything for me. Rep C has to go to Joe Schmo in the back office, who can actually make these decisions and make these take actions on accounts and issue refunds and all this kind of stuff. Totally different department that I can't, as a seller, talk to. So I got to tell reps, I got to tell the rep, yep, this happened. They got to type it up in a short summary, not word for word, but a short summary. And then Joe Schmo in the back office it's got to read the short summary and interpret what I was trying to say from what somebody else typed. And then they have to make a determination. And that's what happened on that pixel return, is that, okay, hey, yep, I explained everything and why, I went through, I was like, yep, clearly something's wrong here because I sent it to Florida and it came back from New York and I didn't get anything. Well, that's not what, when it got to Joe Schmo in the back office, Joe Schmo said, oh, tracking, let's see, yep, the return was delivered. Okay, well, seller's screwed. That's what happens with that. That's why I feel like if they give the support people, and I'm not saying every support person, maybe not the first person you talk to, but if I ask to speak to a supervisor, if we want to escalate something, I want to be able to get somebody on the phone that I can talk to directly and say, hey, this is what happened. Let's look at it together, because that's what happened when I was talking to the supervisor. She was looking at the messages I sent. She was looking at the message history from me and the buyer. She was looking at the case, and we could look at it together, and I could describe, I could walk her through the seller's claims, and I could walk her through my explanations, and I could show that this is why the seller's claims are not true. It's not a he said, it's not a she said. It's I have factual stuff right here that I've sent to the buyer to show that what they're saying is not true. So, and she understood fully what I was saying, and she's like, yeah, the seller, the phone's doing exactly how you, advertised it. There's nothing in your listing that is, a false listing or a false advertisement on there. You didn't claim anything that the seller, the stuff the seller's claiming, or the stuff the buyer is claiming that the phone isn't doing, you never claimed that it did do, and you've sent evidence supporting the fact that it's working correctly. But unfortunately, the way the system works is you have to get the phone back. She said, I'm going to tell you right now, you're getting the phone back. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing we can do. So it's not that she didn't want to help. It's literally like I felt like if that rep could have done something, she would have closed the return. But she can't do that. And they can't escalate that. There's nobody that I can talk to and explain these things to, whether it's before the return happens or after the return happens. You have to explain it to some rep. And again, nothing against them. Not all of them are U.S. based. Sometimes there's a accent, language barrier kind of deal. Sometimes the reps aren't knowledgeable on what you're selling and talking about. The person I talked to the second time, the supervisor, was based in Utah, so we were both in the United States. Had a clear understanding of, she was pretty technically tech savvy, so she understood what I was saying. For the most part, she seemed to. She said she did. Whether she did or didn't, I don't know, but based on her responses, she did. And that's that. So I feel like if she could have done something, that she would have, but the tools that eBay gives them just aren't there. They don't even get options until the return gets delivered and marked as delivered. The first rep even told me that the tools that my supervisor has are the exact same ones I have, so I don't know if they're going to be able to help you. I just don't want to waste your time, is literally what she told me. So she told me right from the start that the supervisor probably couldn't do anything extra, but I just wanted to explain it to somebody a little higher up anyway. Maybe, being a supervisor, they can kind of, hey, we're getting this feedback from sellers, and maybe one day something will be done about it, but, it won't be today. So yeah, I haven't been told different things by the reps. That did happen a little bit with the pixel return. I told one rep that I had the video footage, and they said, okay, hey, we'll send, you can upload it here. When I got that link and tried to upload it, it didn't accept video files. And when I emailed back and said, hey, Rep B said I could upload this video here, that's when they emailed me back and said, we don't accept videos, we don't have time to look at it, you can only do photos and documents and stuff like that. To which somebody told me on the forum, they said, well, eBay doesn't take videos because it's too easy to fake. It's too easy to fake. But I don't find that a valid argument if they take pictures, because if I get a package, right, I can start the video and I can unbox that package on the video and show what's in that package, and you can edit that, yes, but I'm not a movie maker. I'm not a professional video editor. I would assume most people on eBay probably aren't either, to where they're going to start doing some movie magic to start scamming people on eBay out of some phones, especially not after being on eBay for 11 years. So that's kind of the point on that. Like, I can take a picture. Let's snap a picture of the sealed box. Okay, let's open the box. Oh, okay, let's take the phone out because let's say they sent the right phone and I'm the scammer. Okay, we'll take that out. Okay, I got this Samsung, S2 here that's beat to shit, and I just got this laying around for my big scamming operation. Okay, I'm gonna put that in the box. Okay, let me take another picture. Hey, eBay, yeah, they sent back this beat to shit Samsung S2 when I sent them a OnePlus 11. Well, there's no in between there. I could have done whatever in between those pictures, but if I took a video and I cut the tape on the box, shipping label from the buyer right there, cut the tape on the box, open it up, and there's some beat to shit Samsung S2 in there. Well, clearly that's a little more short. Can it still be faked? Yes, I don't disagree with that. But it's more credible than some pictures that anything could have happened in between. So if they're going to take pictures, then saying the video isn't credible is not an excuse to not take video, because, in my opinion, video is a lot more credible than pictures. Normally they say video doesn't lie. In this case, when I'm here, there's no witnesses. Sure, video can probably lie because I can stitch some things together and make it look different, but way harder than doing it with pictures. So I think that eBay needs to, if you have a case where you're going to be out $500-600, I think eBay needs to take 30 seconds to look at a video before they rip that $500-600 out of your account. That's just, if I'm paying eBay fees, I think that should be, especially 10, 11, 12%, whatever it is on selling electronics like these. I think that should be the, at least get that courtesy before they rip that money out of your hand. But part of me wants the buyer to ship the phone back, and I see what I get, and I can fight it. Part of me wants the buyer to not ship the phone back, maybe be nice enough to close the return, but they probably won't. So either he's going to ship it back, or I'm going to be sitting on this $627 on hold until May 3rd, which is when this expires on its own. So we'll have to see what actually happens there. I'm probably going to just straight up live stream. If I do get it back, I'll just straight up live stream the whole unboxing. I guess that's one way you can make sure the video is not faked if it's live. That'd be a really hard one to fake. Hey, look, I've got this sealed box here. I mean, of course you could slap a different label on a different box, and a lot of ways you can do different, a lot of different things, but at some point you just gotta, what's gonna happen is gonna happen, and there's two sides to every story. But, obviously, like I told the lady, the first time this happened to me when I actually got scammed, you guys wouldn't listen to anything I had to say because all you said was it was delivered and you see the delivery scan. But here you are trusting, this guy that's been on eBay for 3 months and got a feedback score of 9. And here's me who's sold 257 items at this point, and, or 271, whatever it was. Over 200 items at this point in 11 years, hadn't had a single issue. And now they're having an issue. I don't know many people that use a website for a decade plus and have a perfect record, and then all of a sudden they're going to scam somebody out of a phone. That's not, the same reason they check your criminal history when you get a job, or when you do get in trouble with the law. Well, that doesn't seem very like this person. They've never had an issue before. Same thing with eBay. Why don't they look at my record more in detail? Like, okay, well, yeah, this is the 5th time that that people have said this seller have sent a broken device or lied about the listing. So yeah, probably something's wrong here. But all of a sudden, the first time it happens, maybe eBay should step in and help. Like, they need to. Maybe it's going to cost them some money, but maybe the first or second time this happens, they just need to trust the seller when the buyer's scamming them and just take care of them. And then if it becomes a repeat thing, like if next item you sell or 5 items down the line you sell, hey, yeah, this has become a kind of a repeat thing that people are having issues with the items you're sending out. Like, you're going to have to take the return and deal with it. But it doesn't matter how much you've sold, how long you've been on eBay. The only thing you get is if you're a top-rated seller, you have the option in your return settings to deduct up to 50% for damage and use. The rep told me I still have that option, but I have to call and I have to dispute the return, and they will be able to do that for me. But if you're a top-rated seller, you're protected in that way that you can automatically do that. So, it's crazy. It's just absolutely ridiculous on how they've let this policy, it doesn't take care of the sellers. I'm just pulling back up the form real quick here on the other screen, just because I was talking to some people on there that have basically told me I'm screwed. Yeah. And see, I mean, that's what people are saying though. Let's see. They're talking about how maybe there was a misunderstanding in the buyer what they thought they were getting. But I never advertised one way or the other what they were getting. The buyer found that out on their own through their own research and made their own, assumptions by looking at whatever specs they looked at. And I can't help that. That's not if I allowed returns and you got an item that you didn't like, you're free to return it. But when the listing says no returns accepted, you're covered by the eBay money back guarantee. That means you can only return it if the buyer or if the seller sends you a defective item that's not as described, and that's it. You don't get to, oh man, that's not what I thought it was, let me just send it back. That's not part of it. That's not how that works. That's the whole point of not accepting returns. So, a lot of people on here, they weren't too helpful at first. I get they're just trying to tell me that customer support sucks and, they're not going to help me, but that's not why I posted on the forum, so. Yeah, exactly, Carl. I mentioned that. I don't know if you were here, but I mentioned that a couple times. They have 30 days. When they sell something, big old red buyer paid, ship now. But they have 30 days to return it. No, well, not only that, they have 30 days to open a item not described case, and then they have like whatever it is after that. I think it says 15, but they open it on the 12th, and they have till May 3rd. So it's a little longer than that, I want to say. But so that's what brings me back to how come I send something and they get 30 days to make sure I sent them something good. I didn't warranty. There's no warranty from me on the item. So if it breaks on day 25, that's just part of buying used stuff. Like if I go on Facebook Marketplace and I buy a used car and the car breaks down on the way home, I'm shit out of luck. That's just the risk you accept, buying something used with no warranty. If I sell a phone and the buyer gets it, hey, yep, it's working fine on day 1, and then on day 3, it won't turn on anymore, that you should be shit out of luck. I don't offer a warranty. So how come you get 30 days to use it and abuse it? And then, like I said, Carl, again, I don't know if you were here, but I'll say it again. What stops you from, on day 29, you drop it and break the screen, and then going back on eBay, damn, I got another day of, I can just say the seller sent me a broken phone. I'll just tell them I didn't have time to open it, so, I'll just, put on there that the screen was broke when I got it. Seller's shit out of luck. How are they going to prove that, seller has their listing photos, but who's to say when those listing photos were taken? Maybe the seller broke the phone and then sent it. Now the buyer's saying the phone arrived broken. He said, she said, after the buyer, again, I'm not saying that sellers don't do this as well, but he said, she said after that, and the buyer's the one that on day 29 dropped and broke it and wanted to say the seller had sent him a broken item. How come when the buyer does that return, when that gets back to me, I have 2 days to inspect to make sure I got back what I sent, or, it automatically refunds. I get 2 days to inspect it, but you get 30 days to use it and then claim item not as described after I send it to you. How come, why can't you get 2 days to check out your item that you bought? Doesn't make sense. I think maybe that has something to do with credit cards and the way that works. Maybe they have to have a certain time frame on returns. I'm not too sure. That seems like something possible that might actually be why that's like that. But still, why do you get so long to check out your item? But when you want to lie and make false claims and send it back, I got 30 seconds to check it out and make sure you didn't rip me off. But yeah, no joke. You're not wrong, Carl. When that pixel was marked as delivered that I didn't even have yet, eBay notifications, emails, all this kind of stuff, refund buyer now. I was still trying to figure out what the hell happened to my phone. And then of course eBay's like, okay, yep, we'll extend the the time before you have to refund while we investigate. I send them, I start sending them evidence. I wasn't even finished sending them the evidence yet, and they already closed the case and denied it. Like, the seller gets nothing, the buyer gets everything. So, the funds being on hold I don't care about for till May 3rd. It's just, now I got to figure out, like, okay, like I said, if I was a business doing this and a little bit of money was on hold and I'm doing this to make money, that's no big deal. But, like, this is my actual money. Like, this, I sell shit that to make a little extra money. Like I said, my foot's broken. Foot surgery ain't cheap. I sell my extra devices that, I've already reviewed on YouTube and don't need any more that are just sitting here to make a little extra, not make a little extra cash because I don't make a profit on them, but recoup the money from the purchase. And then you got people like this that just go and, poof, yep, well, I don't care about you. I was kind of thinking about sending him a message and kind of guilt tripping him and be like, hey, I sold this to pay for my foot. I really didn't, but, send him a message saying I sold this to pay for my foot surgery because my foot's broken and I can't work right now. And here's you making false claims trying to return it. But I've held off on doing that so far. Maybe depending on when he gets back, what I get back, I might do that and make him feel bad. But, if he sends a working device back, I'm just going to relist it and move on with it. And I'm obviously going to report him for making false claims and try to get a little money out of eBay for any loss in what I made at the first sale. But yeah, he opened the case on April 12th. I'm just stupid, so I'm just gonna do it this way. 21 days. I swore the policy said you had 15, but he's got 21 days from the time he opens the case to the time the package needs to be scanned as shipped, or the case will close. So, and maybe it's like that for business days. I don't know. I don't think there's that many weekends in between. Let me see. Calendar. Open it on the 12th. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it looks like it's accounting for, it's 21 days, but it's 15 business days. Okay, so that's actually not too ridiculous, but it's still ridiculous that he has 30 days to, check his device out, and I have 2. But yeah, it's the same, like Carl's saying in the comments, it's the same thing. Everybody has told me the same thing. Everybody has said customer service sucks. You're not getting your money back. You're screwed. Nobody has said, well, I had this good experience when this happened. Nope. Just crazy. And I even I posted the dude's screenshot about his Discord on Reddit. Actually, I actually sent him the thing right here. Somebody said probably no perms for message history is why the messages aren't showing up. And what that means if you don't use Discord is if you don't have permission to view message history, you can see the messages people are sending while you're active in there. But then once you close Discord, you're not logged in or whatever, any messages sent are not shown. So it's any messages sent aren't shown in there, so you can't see like messages while you're not actively watching them. True about the day 29 of the return, even after 30 days, they can file. Yeah, okay. So the credit card dispute thing, though, I think eBay does it a little bit differently about that because if they don't open a case on eBay, I'm pretty sure part of the policy is they have to open the case on eBay, and then yeah, eBay usually eats that without too much of a fight because they didn't follow the proper procedure and open a return on eBay. If they don't give the seller a chance to make it right and they automatically go to a credit card dispute, then eBay doesn't hold the seller responsible in most cases. And I was reading that policy as well, so they won't hold you responsible, but there's a few exceptions to that. I think if you've already refunded them, eBay's not going to take the money from you again. The only case they will is like if you agree to a return and then don't do it. Like if you send in a message, yeah, I'll take a return, and then when they make a return request, you deny it. If you deny that request after offering a return in a message and then they file a dispute, you're on the hook for the money. But like I said, the buyer is required to do their return through eBay. So by filing a dispute outside of eBay first, that goes against that, and then eBay will eat the cost. And I'm pretty sure they probably go after the buyer in some cases for that money back. Like I said, they will go to collections when you do credit card disputes. eBay does that like crazy. I've heard that a lot. It hasn't happened to me or anything because I've always paid my shit. But I've heard that if you do anything that gets you out of paying what you owe eBay, you're going to collections. People have closed accounts or blocked them at, they blocked them at like a debit card level so eBay can't charge the debit card or whatever it may be, and then eBay will send them to collections. Because, when you're selling stuff from your address, eBay knows where you are, so it's not too hard to send you some certified letters that you owe them money. And yeah, I've gotten a lot more careful about what I sell on eBay and how I go about it. That's why I don't really describe too much in the listing other than, hey, you're buying a used phone. If, it might have a scratch on it somewhere that I don't see, but it's used, so it's normal wear and tear is part of the used definition on eBay. If somebody messages me like, does the phone have any scratches on it? I will say, not that I can see, but it is used, so you may see something that I don't. And that just covers me later down the line, because if I say, nope, there's no scratches on it, and I just miss, one little tiny nick on the side of the screen, and they get it, and there's one little nick on the side of the screen, they're going to go to eBay and say, hey, this seller told me there was no scratches on it, and I found this little scratch. So I always cover myself there, and I say, or people ask me if it'll work on their carrier, and I always say the exact same thing. I'm selling an unlocked device that is not locked to a particular carrier, but you need to check with your specific carrier to make sure this model will support your specific carrier. I can't answer that for you. I have T-Mobile. That's all I've used the device on. I know it'll work on Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, like the major three. But outside of that, you're responsible to check to make sure the device you're purchasing is compatible with your carrier. Or if it's like an eBay buyer that's not in the U.S. and they're doing international shipping, make sure to work in your country. All that kind of stuff. eBay did change the international shipping now, though, to, I believe you're not responsible for returns at all. You're only responsible for sending a good item to the eBay, eBay's international shipping hub or whatever, where they package it for you and send it off. If you get a return after that, eBay refunds from their own pocket and doesn't do anything with you, and then they return the item to eBay, and eBay keeps the item, I guess. So that's actually pretty nice that you don't have to handle returns at all for international shipping anymore. Yeah, I mean, I had to pry my money back out of customer service back in January, that's for sure. it took a whole, I got an ad coming up here in a minute that YouTube's telling me about, but it took a whole month before I got that back, and I only got it back because I was finally able to get those pictures from the postal service. My ring video of the mail delivery that day and the timestamps, that didn't matter. My report with the postal inspection service didn't matter. Nothing. Nothing there mattered. You know, so you either got to have undisputable evidence or eBay's going to tell you have a nice day. And that's the sad part about it, is you got to have that evidence, or, you know, and sometimes that's hard to get. If the manager at the post office didn't realize what I was talking about and remember that, I would have been out the $657 to this day. You know, I would have never gotten that back because eBay wouldn't listen to me. You know, they were siding with the eBay user of 3 months instead of the one for 11 years. And, you know, that was that. They wouldn't, nothing I said had anything to do with anything. Been on here for an hour and a half now, so I'm probably about to end it, but if you guys have any other last minute questions, go ahead and throw them in the comments section. But yeah, I'm glad I found this on the OnePlus website where it actually specifically, blatantly makes it, you know, 1 to 120 hertz. I actually didn't realize that, and I actually didn't realize that the listing didn't specify. I thought that would have been in the little like specifications part where maybe we said 120 in there, and that's what I thought where, you know, the buyer was getting it from. But I'm glad that it actually doesn't say that there. So where he says that it doesn't work at 120 hertz as described, there is no as described, because right here, 1 to 120. So I'm glad I found that, and like I said, I sent it to him, and I let him know that I'm sending him all this stuff so he knows that his claims are false, and that eBay can see all this and will know that they are false as well. So while I may not get to keep it all, if he sends it back in perfect condition, maybe I'll at least, you know, get a credit for my time. But I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I don't really have much else to say on the matter, so thank you, Carl, for being active in the chat and letting me know about your experience, and that we have pretty much the same stories. But hopefully you subscribe to the channel so I can you see any updates I make about this, because like I said, I will for sure, if I do get something back, I will be live streaming that. And I'll definitely update you guys if the May 3rd passes and I don't hear anything back. And I'll keep you guys updated on the whole process and what happens. So thanks for watching. Colin here with Techout. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe if you're watching this recorded. If you made it this far recorded, well, hopefully you're already subscribed.